Hi. This video is about when God asks us to do something and to just trust Him, even though it might be a bit weird and a bit absurd. Um, I want to share a testimony, and it might not be a very good testimony because it's actually a testimony of when I didn't obey and didn't trust God, but God showed me what the point of it was anyway. So basically, when I was little, I used to wet the bed, and this was my biggest, deepest, darkest secret in the entire world. This was something that I wouldn't share with anybody. Even now, it's like one of those things where I'm like, actually, I don't want to talk about this at all, but I'm sharing a testimony, so yeah. But it was literally one of those things that I never told my friends, I never told anybody. It was literally like the worst thing in the world for me if anyone ever talked about it. It was like one of those things that I literally just wanted to die. Like I just wanted the ground to swallow me up. Like it was just the most embarrassing thing in the entire world. And yeah. And when I met my husband, so we'd been talking for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. And one day, God said to me, why don't you no, he didn't say, why don't you? He said, tell him that you used to wet the bed. And the first time that I heard it, I was like, I just actually totally ignored it. Like, I heard him say, tell him that you used to wet the bed. And I completely ignored it. Completely. As though it had gone in one ear, out the other. I just literally ignored it. I was like, doobie doobie doo, carrying on about my business. I was like, I have not heard anything, whatever. Like, and I think I literally just blocked it. I just blocked it automatically. I was like, ugh, and I just ignored it. But there was a few more times, at least one more time, where God was like, tell him that you used to wet the bed. And I got really worried about this. And I was like, are you actually being serious? Like, I literally thought God was like trying to like just embarrass me and shame me and like trying to, basically like ruin a part of my life. Like, here's like this guy that I've just met that I really like, and we've only known each other for a few weeks, and he's telling me to tell him that I used to wet the bed. I was like, I don't think so. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, maybe he's telling me so that, like, in the future when we're married, if anything happens, like, I have to tell him now to, like, confess all of my faults or something. But I was like, God, can I not tell him later? Can I not tell him after we're married? Can I not tell him, like, And I was quite stubborn about it. I was like, I'm not telling this guy that I used to wet the bed. Like, it's just not happening. And, like, I really, really, really just did not want to at all. And I didn't. And it was playing on my mind for a few days. And then one day I was talking to Richard, now my husband, and we were talking on the phone, and he just said to me, like, oh, when I was younger, I used to wet the bed. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, like, I used to wet the bed. And I literally, like, I can't even explain it to you, but I literally felt like the biggest sigh of relief in my entire, like, maybe not in my entire life, but literally I felt like the biggest sigh of relief. And I literally was just like, okay, so God was trying to tell me that it's okay that I used to wet the bed because my husband also used to wet the bed. So it's like my deepest, darkest secret that is the most shameful thing in the world, like, from my childhood, like, he has been through that as well. And it's kind of like, I just found so much comfort in that. And that was one of, like, the early things that I just knew that it was from God, because I just felt like there was nothing to be ashamed about, like, at all, if you know what I mean. And like, that I would be understood, you know, if like, I don't know, if I was pregnant and I randomly like wet the bed or something, just not that, you know. But anyway, like, I just felt like a massive sigh of relief. Like, I just felt like, do you know what, like, I, like, you know, I don't know, I can't explain it to you, but I felt as though actually what God was trying to get me to do was to tell him that I used to wet the bed and to take that step of faith. And then he would have said, oh yeah, me too, no big deal. Who cares? Like, we were kids, you know? But for me, it was just still so shameful that I couldn't even do it. So, but luckily, you know, he told me, so God must have told both of us. But luckily, you know, praise God, he told me. And then I was like, oh, I just felt like the biggest sigh of relief, like, and I was like, I understand now your plan, God. Your plan was to comfort me. Your plan was to encourage me. Your plan was to make me feel safe, whereas I felt all of the opposite. And I felt like you were putting me into a situation to be shot at or to be humiliated, but you were trying to make me feel safe. So I think sometimes God tells us to do things or say things and he doesn't explain. Like, he never really explains at all. Like, sometimes he does, but, you know, if it's something random, sometimes he doesn't explain. He's just like, oh yeah, just, you know, say this or do this. And you're like, you've got to be joking. Like, how can I say this or how can I do this? It's like, you know, but then actually, like, when you do it, like, you see his logic, and that's what faith is all about. It's about trusting him, even though I didn't trust him in this sense at all. But I got to see his plan in the end anyway. And I was like, okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that you know, God does have plans for our good, to prosper us, not to hurt us. And sometimes, you know, when he asks us to do things, we think, oh Lord, what are you doing? What are you asking? But he always has a good plan. So yeah.